Hello, this is Motiu Fagbai, and I'd like to share a few ideas with you about cause and effect, specifically about how it relates to student learning and the quality and effectiveness of professional practices. We suggest that all students will learn at high levels when instruction meets their needs, that anything a student has learned well already has been taught well already. In other words, if the students have learned something, it's because that something has been taught well. If you accept that, then you also have to accept that anything that our student has not learned well yet is something that has not been taught well yet. So student learning is an effect, and every effect has a cause. So if I want to have a different effect, if I want to produce a different effect, it is cause that I focus on. And in our profession, the cause is always professional practices. If we want improved outcomes for students, the starting point must be the continuous improvement of professional practices. In other words, the continuous improvement of teaching practices, leadership practices, and organizational practices, because it is those professional practices that are really the starting point or the precursors or the preconditions for student learning. Let me illustrate it this way. I want you to imagine that we have a group of students in the oval, and then also imagine a scale of success or accomplishment, and you can define success or accomplishment any way you want. Okay, so here you have a group of students, and you have a scale of success or accomplishment. Now, is it possible or is it not for one teacher T1, to get these students to a T1 level of success or accomplishment, and a different teacher T2 to get the same students to a T2 level of success or accomplishment? The answer has to be yes, that it is possible for two different teachers to get different results with the same students. If two different teachers can get different results with the same students, then I suggest to you that it is not the students. That how far the students have come is a function of how far teacher one has come in mastering his or her own craft, and how far teacher two has come in mastering his or her own craft. Now, is it also possible for a third teacher to drop those students below their starting point? The answer has to be yes. And can a fourth teacher take the same students all the way home? And the answer to that has to be yes also. Okay. So let's say I'm teacher T1. I have to believe that I have the potential to be like T2 or T4. If I'm a T1 level teacher, I have to believe that I have it within myself as a practitioner to produce at the same level of effectiveness as T2 or T4. I have to believe that about myself as a practitioner. Because if I don't, no student that comes through me will get higher than T1. And I will have all kinds of reasons or rationale to explain why the students are not going higher than T1. It could be because they're too tall, or they're too short, or they're too round, or they're too square, or they're rich, or they're poor, or they're black, or they're white, or yellow. But all you have to do is to ask yourself, can a different teacher get worse results with the same students? And the answer is yes. Can a different teacher get better results with the same students? The answer to that is yes as well. So as long as two different teachers can get different results with the same kids, the starting point is not to fix the kids, but to fix our practice. And by believing that you have the potential as a practitioner to become absolutely phenomenal, to become the kind of professional who can teach any student, you have to believe that about yourself. If you do believe that you have that potential, then your next obligation is to develop that potential. And that's what we call continuous learning. This, I suggest, is yellow brick road home. It is the intent of the whole growth mindset movement, that each one of us has the potential to be absolutely terrific in whatever we've chosen to focus our attention on. And we can assess how far we've come in mastering our craft by looking at the results we produce. So student results then is an indication of how far the practitioner has come in mastering his or her craft. Okay, so this example talks about students and teachers. Let me extend the same idea to teachers and their principals. So, is it possible, is it not, for one principal, P1, to get these teachers to perform at a P1 level of success or accomplishment, and a different principal to get the same teachers to perform at P2? The answer has to be yes. So if two different principals can guide or nurture or support their teachers to two different levels, then it is not the teachers. So I don't want to hear principals complaining about their teachers. That how far the teachers have come is a reflection of how far that principal is in mastering his or her own craft as a principal. And I hope you see where I'm going with this, because the same thing applies, that a third teacher, P3, can get those teachers below their starting point, and a fourth teacher, P4, can get all those teachers all the way home. So in the diagram on the screen, we're showing 4 different principals getting 4 different results with their teachers. Then it is not the teachers that's at fault, so to speak. It's a function of how far each principal has mastered their craft at this point in time. And so the recipe for them is the same. For each principal, it's the same. As a principal, you have to believe that you have the capacity to be absolutely phenomenal. You have to then turn that potential into reality through your own continuous learning. And I can apply the same thinking to students and parents. I can apply them to principals and superintendents. I can apply them to a facilitator like myself and working with different groups. So the bottom line for us is that each one of us can really be a master of our craft. And we have to believe that we can master our craft, but believing we can master it is not enough. So having a growth mindset is not enough. We have to act on that belief. We have to develop the capacities we have, and the process of doing that again is where continuous learning comes in. So as we move forward, the idea of the growth mindset is that is very much in line with what I've just shared with you, that as long as you believe that you can always grow, that your mind can grow rather than having a fixed mindset, there's virtually nothing you will not be able to do over time if you invest the time in turning your potential into reality. And Jeff Howard of the Efficacy Institute talks about smart is not just something you are, it is something you can get. This is an idea that most adults are comfortable helping our students understand. But I want to suggest to us that the same idea applies to us at any age. That getting smart as a teacher is not something that you are, it is something that you can get through continuous learning. That smart is not just something you are as a principal, it is something that you can get over time. So as long as we have the belief or the growth mindset and we make a commitment to continuous learning, there's virtually no limit to how far we can come in our craft. So back to where we started then. All students will learn at high levels when instruction meets their needs. That what a student has not learned well yet is something that he or she has not been taught well yet. That student learning is an outcome of our professional practices. Student learning is effect. The cause will be the quality and effectiveness of professional practices. And if we want improved outcomes for students, the place to start is not by fixing the students, but by focusing on continuous improvement of our professional practices, our teaching practices, our leadership practices, and our organizational practices, because those practices are the precursors to student learning. So as I wrap up, I'd like to invite you into a 1-minute exit ticket exercise. If you could do a quick write about one area where you yourself would benefit significantly from a growth mindset, and then to identify 1 or 2 actions or experiences or things you would take on during the next 30 days to move yourself from whatever level you are right now to the next level. Because as you move from one level to the next, you're able to move more people along with you. If you're a teacher, your students will have more room to grow because you have grown. If you're an administrator, your teachers will have more room to grow because you yourself have grown. For each one of us, we first have to shift the level of our practice to the next higher level if you want to get those that we care for, those for whom we are responsible to move to that next level. So I look forward to hearing from you. I very much would love your feedback. Feel free to give us a call or send us an email at contact@performancefact.com. Again, our email address is contact@performancefact.com. Thank you.